Hello everybody, super pumped to be here, super pumped to see everybody. Amazing. Thank you everybody for coming. We've got people from all over the world. Type in where you're from, type in your country. Where are you watching us right now from? We've got Nigeria, we've got Romania already. Who else do we have? Type in your country so we know. Brazil, amazing. Who else do we have online? Amazing. Indonesia, Calgary, amazing. US, China, Sweden, Canada, USA. Oh my God, so many. Toronto, Lisbon, US, Switzerland. Keep typing them. We have 796 people online right now. How crazy is that? I am so grateful for you, everybody, for making it to this event. I know it's different time zones. For some people it's really late, for some people it's just early, middle of the night, middle of the day. Thank you so much for coming. We're going to have lots of fun. We're going to learn a lot, meet amazing speakers, and most importantly, meet each other and keep this community going, even in the times of lockdown, even in these difficult times. So we've got a lot of things going on. Very excited about what is coming up. So I'd like to share my screen just so our AV team knows. I'm going to share now. Is that okay? Okay, thank you. Argentina, Mexico, Bulgaria, Thailand, America, Turkey, Pittsburgh, Ghana, US, Canada, Austria, Qatar. People watching us from Qatar. Amazing. Everywhere from India. We have a lot of people from India, Singapore. Who else do we have? US. Keep typing. Yes, this is crazy amazing how many people we have online. Hope you enjoyed the meditation yoga session at the start. Hope that got you pumped wherever you are, regardless of what time of the day or time of the night it is for you. Egypt, Canada, India, Algeria, because you need to be energized for this. There's going to be a lot of things coming your way. So I'm sharing my screen. Is that okay? Good. All right, rolling. So I've got a map here. Just now I had literally 10 minutes before going live, and I put together, this is the freshest data. These are the people that are going to be here from all these countries. They're, I don't know, probably like 100, 150 countries. If your country is here, type it in if you haven't yet, because these are the countries represented today here. How exciting is that? Everybody is connecting. Amazing. This is by far, we've crossed 800 people, 137 people online right now. This is by far the biggest DataScienceGO we've ever had. So I'm going to jump to my presentation because we've got quite a few things to cover. And here we go. So the presentation I put together for today, or the talk I put together for today, I decided to call it Our Duty. And it is our duty of data scientists, data analysts, machine learning engineers, AI engineers, of everybody on this conference and everybody watching this recording later on. We have a duty. And I've been thinking about this for the past couple of months. The events of 2020 pushed me to manifest this into this talk. So what is our duty all about? Well, the world as we know it, in my understanding, the way I see it, the world as we know it, as we knew it 10 years ago, 20 years ago, is changing. It's no longer the world. Like people say, once we go back to the norm after coronavirus, we're not going to go back to the norm. The norm will be different. And the world, let's look at how did we view the world before? 10 years ago, even 3 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. How did we view the world? Well, the common conception, the way I thought about the world was, if I study hard, if I work hard, if I maybe start a business or not start a business, grow my career, become successful and really feel fulfilled at my work, then one day I can go and have a house. I can start a family, have a home, grow the next generation, maybe help people through mentoring, through passing on my knowledge, and go back and forth to work every day, have my hobbies, have my friendships, have things that I love to do, and maybe cook in the evenings and play golf or some sports, or, like go fishing, camping, just have a life. Well, that reality is no longer the case. That is no longer good enough. Not just for data scientists, for everybody in the world right now, that is no longer good enough to think that way. If we think that way, we will fail as a society, as a planet, as a race. Why is that? Well, the events of 2020 should have actually put this all into great, strong color, into given it a lot of contrast. We started off with very sadly fires in Australia, bushfires in Australia. I'm sure you've heard of them and you may be aware of them. There was over 18.6 million hectares of bush and savanna burning. That's 46 million acres. Over a billion animals were affected, or actually a billion animals died. It's estimated that 1 billion animals died during these bushfires. To put it into perspective, let's have a look at the map of the United Kingdom. So this is the United Kingdom, and if we map the bushfires that are happening in Australia onto this map, this is what it looks like. So it actually pretty much takes up the whole of the territory of England. That's how much land, forest, bush was burning in Australia, or burned down in Australia over the course of December, January this year. And clearly, this is a direct, like, there are definitely different opinions, but I think, for me, it's clear that it's a direct cause, it's a direct result of global warming and what we're doing with this planet, how reckless we are with this planet. And that's just one example. There have been many disasters, and many disasters are yet to come that are results of global warming. Global warming is not going anywhere. It's still here. It's been happening. It's been getting worse, and it's going to keep getting worse. At the same time, we had coronavirus. We still have coronavirus plaguing the whole of the world right now. I don't know of any country that has been left untouched by the coronavirus, and all of the every person on the planet has heard of it, and many of us have close people, relatives, friends, colleagues who have either gotten the coronavirus, have been affected by it in one way or another. And it's a really sad situation. And the reality is that these pandemics have been around. We've had SARS, we've had other pandemics before, and we've been warned previously by the WHO and by many authorities that they're not just going to subside, they're going to keep happening. And this is just one example. It's an unprecedented pandemic. So here we can see the map of the pandemic, which you can access online at ArcGIS it's by Johns Hopkins University. It's live as of today. Over 8.6 million people are confirmed to have this virus. And that's just the confirmed cases, people who have been tested. What about all the people who haven't been tested? So this pandemic is one of a kind, but it's a new kind of pandemic. It's affecting the whole world. It's unprecedented in the way that I heard that a few months ago, maybe now it's easing down, but a few months ago, 1 billion people, 1 billion people were locked in, were under lockdown, and were not able to move freely. That's never happened before. And if you asked anybody at the start of January this year, that was unimaginable, and yet it happened. And these pandemics are not going away anywhere. They're going to keep happening, and they're going to keep affecting our health. The question is the frequency. The question is, when is the next one going to happen, not if. And of course, this has a major effect, with over 8 million people confirmed cases, and lots of people having direct impact on their health or the health of their loved ones. What about the indirect impact? What about the impact that we're seeing through the measures of social distancing, which are definitely making a dent in how this virus is spreading and helping us control it? But there are other aspects, such as psychological aspects, loneliness, isolation. How about that? Well, according to a study that was done in 2018, 2 years ago, by The Economist, a survey that was done, 22% of US adults either always feel lonely or often feel lonely, lack of companionship, or feel left out or isolated. And this was 2 years ago. Imagine how much worse the problem has gotten with the isolation and the lockdown measures, which were designed to control the virus, but nevertheless they inevitably have these side effects. So how much worse has the problem gotten? And moreover, as a society, we are more connected than ever through social media, through being able to chat to each other whenever we want, but we feel more lonely than ever at the same time. This is clearly another global challenge that we haven't faced before. So we already talked about global warming, talked about pandemics. Here's a psychological global challenge, that we're super interconnected, but we're super lonely, and doesn't seem to be getting better. It seems like we're forcing this spring, and it's just a matter of time. When does it pop? Here's another global challenge for you: racism, inequality. What we've seen in 2020, what we've seen in the US in the past months should be very clear, a clear demonstration, for me anyways, a clear demonstration that this issue is still present. We haven't passed this issue, that racism, inequality, it is still present. It's still a challenge, a global scale challenge that we will have to face. And people are standing up, people are speaking out that this is something that needs to be addressed, and not just in the US. Here you can see a visualization of all the protests that happened in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement since as at 7th of June. So as of today, it's probably even higher, even larger number of protests, a number of people who have spoken out. And that is because it's a true issue, global level issue that needs to be addressed and needs to be looked at. And we can keep going forever, or for a long time, with these issues that are happening. If you look at the next 30 years, a generation is considered to be about 30 years, I wager that some of these following issues are going to hit us, and are going to hit us pretty hard, and not in isolated ways. A lot of them are going to happen simultaneously. We have pandemics, as we've seen, food and water security, what is right now is happening in Africa and in Asia with the swarms of locusts that measure as far as a swarm can cover up to 2,400 square kilometers and can move 150 kilometers per day. And they're eating everything. There is true insecurity about food. Some countries don't know if their population will have food in the coming month or not, in the coming months. We have global warming, as we spoke about. There is an estimate that by 2050, the amount of plastic in the world's oceans will be equivalent, will surpass the amount of live animals by weight, by mass. There'll be more plastic in the world's ocean by 2050 than animals and the biomass. That is quite insane, if you ask me, and we are seeing the effects of these global warming, on our planet already. Ethics and biotechnology. As biotechnology picks up, there are going to be questions about implants into our brains, about how we use CRISPR ethically, and other DNA and other biotechnologies. So that's going to be another challenge that we're going to be facing in the next 30 years. Irreducible uncertainty of artificial intelligence. I was very careful about putting it into this presentation because I know all of us on this call, data scientists, we're excited about artificial intelligence. Yes, there are speculations that it'll be benevolent or it'll be evil, but ultimately it can do good for the world, and we are here to learn it, and we want to do better. But there's still, in the words of Dr. Ben Goertzel, who is a famous researcher around AI, there's an irreducible uncertainty, because conscious AI, once it becomes a thing, once we achieve it, if we achieve it, it will be so much smarter than us that no matter how hard we think today, we are not sure. We can never be sure what it will do or how, or whether we'll be able to control it. There's no guarantees. And so there's this irreducible uncertainty about AI, and that's another challenge that's, according to other researchers, is going to be coming in the next couple of years, or next couple of decades. There's inequality, as we're seeing. There's social media addiction, a problem that, or a challenge that we've created. We've wanted to become more connected, but a conservative estimate is that adults or humans with mobile phones look at their phones over 80 times per day, and that's a very conservative estimate. 80 times per day. An average adult can go little more than 10 minutes without checking their phone. This is definitely another global challenge that we're going to be facing more and more. Loneliness and depression, as we talked about. And from here, the future might look gloomy, and like there's a lot of challenges that we have to address in the coming years. I'm not pointing these out to say that the future is hopeless. No, I'm saying that these are challenges that we have to be aware and we have to be prepared. And we're coming to a time, 2020 is a strong illustration, at least for me, that we're coming to a time when we were going to be at a crossroad. We're going to be a crossroad of, is the future of the planet and the world going to be dark, or is the future of the planet and the world going to be bright and colorful? Are we going to leave this planet worse than we found it for the future generations? Are we going to leave it better than we found it? And that's why I say that it's no longer good enough to just do your thing, live your life, and not think about these global problems. And the good news, there is good news. Good news is that we have technology, and technology is our best bet at addressing these problems, because we're not some alien species that can go and just telepathically communicate with each other and say, all right, let's stop inequality, let's treat everybody fairly, or let's stop polluting the planet. We don't have that level of consciousness or telepathic communication. We have to disseminate knowledge and any kind of initiatives through technology. And there's not just 7,000 people on the planet, there's 7 billion people on the planet, meaning that at scale, it has to be done through technology. And what is technology? Technology is data. So while everybody on the planet has a duty, this is how I see that everybody on the planet has a duty, whether you're a nurse or you're a firefighter, or you're a police officer, you're a chef, you're a scuba diver, whatever your profession is, you have a duty to be aware of the global challenges and move the world to being better, however you can. However, as data scientists, we have that duty, but we also have leverage. We have very strong leverage in the sense that we code and we create algorithms. And those algorithms can impact sometimes not 10, 100, but 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 people at a time per algorithm. And therefore, we have a very strong responsibility to make sure that we are doing our best to make this world a better place, that we are prepared for the challenges that are coming in the next couple of decades. I'll give you an example. So here's the COVID Critical Care Consortium. It's an organization that combines lots of companies, universities across over 100 different countries that are studying what happens to a human's respiratory system when they go into critical care because of COVID, and just analyzing all the data that's possible. And they needed help. They needed analytics to understand this better. So somebody that we all know, somebody that, or many of us know on this conference, somebody by the name of Sam Hinton, whom you've probably heard on the Super Data Science podcast. He's been on the podcast twice now. And he's also launched 2 courses with Super Data Science on Python. So maybe you've heard Sam on the podcast. So maybe you've heard Sam taking one of his courses. Well, Sam was called upon by the COVID Critical Care Consortium to be their lead data analyst. And Sam is in charge of creating data pipelines to make sure that the data that comes into the consortium, where that is collected, that is cleaned, that is manipulated, is prepared for analysis, that it's all ready to go. Sam was never intending to be a medical or to do data science in medicine. Sam was never studying that field. He was an astrophysicist, and he has passions for different parts of the world and different things he can do in data science. But he was called upon, and because data science skills is another point why data science is so important in facing these challenges. Data science skills are highly transferable, and because he is able to transfer his skills into this domain, he became the lead data analyst for the COVID Critical Care Consortium, and he's working on a global challenge right now. This is a person that we know. In fact, Sam was supposed to be presenting at this event on day 2 for advanced practitioners. There's a workshop on building data pipelines. Unfortunately, Sam had to have throat surgery, so he's prepared everything, and Fabio Vasquez was amazing to jump in and help out. So Fabio will be leading that workshop tomorrow. Maybe Sam will make an appearance as well. But this is a person that we all know. A person in our community is helping to save the world. And what I'm trying to get across today is that any one of us can be in the same situation. And because these challenges are going to accelerate faster and faster and faster, we're going to need to solve them faster. We're going to need data scientists that are prepared and ready to jump on this. And you might find yourself in a situation like Sam, or you might find that you're not being called upon to help, but you can help, you can contribute, you can help solve these challenges. And that's why this mentality of just living your life and doing something that you love is no longer good enough. We have to all be aware of these problems. So how do we be aware of these problems? How do we make a difference? Well, I propose 3 pillars, 3 main things that we can all do to be better prepared for the future that's coming, to be not jump into it 10 years when all these disasters strike and we're not prepared and not ready. No, time to prepare is now. You don't jump into a rocket launching to the moon and prepare. You prepare for months. I think it's like an 18-month preparation program that astronauts go through, maybe more, maybe several years. So what are these 3 pillars? Well, the first pillar that I propose is sincerity. And this, in the first place, is sincerity with yourself. There's a study done by Gallup in 2017 in the World Poll, and it says that only 30% of workers in the US are engaged at their work. Meaning that, think about this now, meaning that 70% of people doing their work, doing their jobs, are not engaged. They're not happy doing their work. Only 30% are happy. And if we go global, because we have people from all sorts of countries today, only 15%, the number gets even smaller, only 15% of people globally are engaged in their work and are happy about what they're doing. 85% of people are unhappy at their work. So if you find yourself doing this, if you are really bored at your job and you are not in the right place, you don't feel you're in the right place, then you first of all need to be sincere, because you can't help anybody else and you can't help the world until you help yourself. So my call to you is, if you're finding that you're not enjoying what you're doing, you're not only not as enthusiastic and engaged and you're not learning as much as you could be, but you're also taking a place that somebody else might actually be happy to fill, a role somebody else might be happy to fulfill. So I would say that the first step is to make sure that you're sincere with yourself and that you are at a place where you're learning, growing, and you are realizing your full potential. Step number 2 is ethics. In terms of ethics, there are 2 parts that need to be addressed. And that is our personal ethics. How, like, something that was ethical 100 years ago is no longer ethical. Ethics and the world changes all the time. How are our values and morals, how are they representing what's happening in the world? Are we aligned or not? There has to be a constant conversation about what we believe in and what is good and what is bad as humans. And at the same time, there should be a question about companies. Most people, when they go for interviews, never ask the question, how is this company ethical? What is your ethics policy? Where do you source your raw materials from? How do you store data? What do you do with this data? How do you delete data when it's no longer necessary? How is the role ethical? How are you making sure that everything's ethical? I would love for everybody to ask these questions. When you go for interviews, and this is something we spoke with DJ Patel on the podcast, that when you go for an interview, this is one of the questions that you should be asking. Is this company ethical or not? Because we have leverage and because our skills are transferable, we have a responsibility to be ethical ourselves and to work for companies that are ethical. And finally, my last point here is, before I go to the last point, these 2 points would be enough in the previous world. There'd be enough to do what you love and to do good for the world. But because we're facing these unprecedented challenges, they're no longer enough. There has to be this 3rd pillar, and the 3rd pillar is collaboration. And what do I mean by collaboration? I mean that whatever you end up doing, maybe you, through sincerity and ethics, you find that you're most satisfied at a company that's doing data science for fashion, and that you're helping people find the best clothes that they love, and it really fulfills you. Doesn't mean that you have to quit your job and run and solve global challenges, but being aware of these situations, participating in conversations with other people who are solving these challenges, or reading white papers, or understanding what is going on in the world, being aware, being prepared for when these challenges strike. What part of your transferable skills as a data scientist can you actually take and help solve the health crisis, or take and help solve the food security crisis? Maybe as a data scientist doing data science or analyzing data in the fashion industry, you have a perspective that nobody else has. And that is the beauty of data science, the leverage and the transferability of our skills. We have a duty to collaborate. We can no longer sit under a rock and just do what we love. We need to have these conversations and help others come up with ideas, and we'll come up with ideas ourselves. And that's why I am super excited that everybody is at this event. At this event, not only will you hear from amazing speakers, but you will also be able to network. So there will be times when there's a networking session, you'll see this button. Are you ready? you'll be able to click it and you'll be matched to a random person from the audience whom you'll be able to talk to about, and find out as much as you can. Find out what they're doing, what algorithms they're using, what industry do they work in, what country are they in, what are they passionate about, what have they learned about these global problems, how have they faced them before. Find out as much as you can. Share your knowledge, share your experience, because together, only together, can we solve these challenges and go to a better place. And also you can connect. So you'll have an option to connect with this person, and then you can go into your Hopin account on the top right, go to your connections, and you'll actually see these people you've connected with. Email them afterwards. Stay in touch. Don't let it just happen now in the event. Maybe you'll have a project to them. Maybe somebody will be a mentor. Maybe somebody will be your next employer. So look out for these opportunities to connect and make the most out of them. And finally, I just wanted to say, on day one, we're going to have some amazing speakers. We're going to hear from DJ Patel just now. Then we've got Emily Robinson coming up, Jason Koo, Adlan Depaneves is running a workshop in Python, and Michelle is running a workshop in Tableau. These are going to be workshops and conversations relating to different industries. Don't mind that if this industry is not relevant to you. The whole point is to get exposure to lots of different industries to see how you can help with your transferable data science skills, or how can what you learn be applied in your industry. We're in a unique position as data scientists that we can learn something and then go do it in lots of different applications. So make the most out of it. Michelle, I think, is going to be talking about analyzing the FIFA data, soccer. That might be completely irrelevant to what you're doing, but what can you learn from that? What approaches? Maybe how the soccer players are moving around. Maybe how she's going to be doing clustering, or however, whatever other visualization she's going to be creating. Maybe that's going to be relevant to what you're doing. So my call to you is, don't be afraid if they are absolutely different industries or topics that we're talking about at this conference. That's actually great, and network as much as you can. This is a unique opportunity, and we're very excited that all of you are here and you're ready to connect, so make the most out of it. On that, thank you very much for being here. I'm super pumped to have Data Science Go virtual go live.